Let's talk about Power Rangers.
Okay.
I can tell you're a very big fan.
Yes, I am.
Please tell us how this love for Power Rangers started and tell us about any of your interesting experiences that you've had with creating content amongst other fans, people who participated in the franchise. I would love to hear it.
Obviously, like for me, this all started for me in Orange, Texas, when I was in elementary school, and that's when the show first debuted and premiered. And me and my friends, kid friends, we were playing playing Power Rangers, like yeah, yeah, and it was always a good outlet for me, to actually watch these teenagers set aside their differences, whether it's their genders, their races, their beliefs, their social status, their economic status, whatever they set aside to do something bigger than themselves. And as I grew older, I definitely was bullied for not only watching that show, so I stopped watching it. But I got back into it when I went to Anime Expo back in 2000. Not when I went to my first Anime Expo in 2009. Met a lot of my friends, Chili Willy, Candace, Edgar, JC, Anthony, Jenny, uh, Christian, and a buttload of people at Anime Expo, and they kind of were into the Power Ranger scene, and they even told me about Power Morphicon, and I went to my first Power Morphicon in 2010, and a lot of that was where a lot of my friends, Andrew Kim, who runs Common, um, I can't remember the name of his YouTube channel. I'm really trying to remember. I actually, hang on, maybe I can find it on here a second. Because I want to credit Common Ramen Studios. Common Ramen Studios. He and I collaborated together on some interviews, and he and I kind of became good friends from there. But I also got to talk to Airlim, aka Mark Smith, Ollie, otherwise known as Space Ranger 335 on Instagram. And these guys basically became like really great friends and colleagues and people who I know and trust. And it was these guys that actually got to be a part of my video. And Chili Willy helped me film these videos, and I started kind of getting more and more into the Power Ranger scene and kind of knowing who's out there I can go to make these cosplays, but who would want to be a part of these videos. And Mimug was one of those people, and he's the one that, and Mimug actually is the one that kind of inspired me to get a gold Zeo Ranger cosplay. And he and I actually did like a DDR contest where he actually won because he was the called Duh Black Ranger, and he actually had like the dragon shield, and we did a skit about that uh, on my YouTube channel. But no, like it's definitely been a fun experience, and it's been so fun that I was part of Saban's Power Force for a little while, along with Jujimore and Mean Mug, and we got to go to the Power Rangers movie premiere, the 2017 Power Rangers movie premiere, and that was fun. It was very because we got to dress up and be all dapper and whatnot, and it was fun. But honestly, anytime I can actually hang out with anyone from Power Morphicon or the Power Ranger community and just reconnect or talk, it's always a fun time. And even like I'm still catching up with people online and doing occasional Google Hangouts, and uh, I'm still messaging them, seeing how they're doing and what whatnot. So yeah.
That's amazing. What an incredible community.
Oh yeah, no. Like if it wasn't for Anime Expo 2009, I probably would not be on the current journey I'm on right now. So the Anime Expo '09 definitely was kind of like a happy accident, and I'm glad I met a lot of the California Power Ranger community because they kind of got me into doing more Power Ranger things, and I think I owe them a lot for that.
Wow. I've been in and out of Power Rangers throughout my life. I really, really, really loved the franchise growing up. I think about as a kid, I've always liked like anime and stuff and comic books, Power Rangers as well, and I think about the impact that it had, and even some of the friends that I have today, they'll still tell me about like their experiences growing up with Power Rangers, and they'll watch Power Rangers today, and like our conventions here, they'll like try and pick up merch and just talk to others. I don't think we have a scene as big and as close as what is out in Cali and so forth, but at the same time it's still great to hear about how this has grown with people and how it's brought people together at different points in their life. How would you recommend someone who wants to get back into Power Rangers, because it's huge, it's very deep, where would you tell them to start if they wanted to invest themselves into this and grow with the scene? Should they maybe go to a convention first? Is it better for them to start from the Mighty Morphin series and work their way up? Maybe there are select franchises, select series that they should be watching.
I would just say, like any great story, you have to start from the beginning. As corny as Power Rangers was back in the day, it worked for the 90s. Obviously, Power Rangers nowadays has become a lot more complex in terms of cinematography, special effects, their stunt teams, and everything, and even the locations that they choose has become a lot more cinematic. But definitely start from the beginning. And if they want to go to a Power Ranger convention without really knowing much of the Power Ranger story, that's fine. Just go there to have fun, meet people. They can tell you a lot of different things, reasons why Power Rangers inspired them to be the way they are. In fact, a lot of the way I act and behave and even treat people is because of the show Power Rangers and the messages and the lessons that they instilled in me. And hopefully, if I have a kid one day, I'll be able to kind of show them that, along with Keenan and Kel, Are You Afraid of the Dark, and a couple of other cool kids' TV shows from the 90s.
There was something about those 90s shows. They hit so hard and they've all aged pretty well. Like, yeah, you point out some of the corniness here and there, but like they're all really well done, and I feel that I'm not sure what it is. Maybe because in the 80s, cinema was starting to go in a more darker direction. But like, just there are complexities to stories. It's not always just Monster of the Week. There is also like learning to love these five different characters, and they're more than just tropes. Even the supporting cast, like even if they're there mostly for comic relief, you actually care about them, and you see it with Power Rangers. You see it with a lot of like the stuff you saw on Cartoon Network, on YTV, certain animes from like the late 80s to like mid 90s. They had that kind of feel. They just aged really well, and it's like they understood that kids can not only take away a lesson from this that can stick with them forever, but the kids watching our shows, they don't just need flashing colors and loud sounds. We can also put effort into the story as well, and that's why I always go back to like 90s shows, and I really appreciate what they were making back then.
Yeah, no, like for me, I still continue. There's still times where I actually watch the 90s show. Like for me, around Halloween time, I kind of watch Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark, but also Tales from the Crypt and some other, scary TV shows and movies. But I always found like a lot of the earlier stuff definitely actually cared a lot about actual genuine horror, where nowadays it's kind of like shock value horror, which is kind of like, eh.
I feel you. I do like modern horror, but I think I like it just because like I do like pop music, flashy stuff. I do like the easily digestible mainstream sort of thing. But like I wouldn't say any of like modern horror films are really like in my top 10. Even like with suspense and thrillers, like things that really play on your emotions. I don't know. Like I feel a lot of them, they're great, but you don't remember them like you do remember like movies from the 80s and shows from like the 90s, like even the early 2000s that had those really, they relied on atmosphere to help unravel their story, and you were along for the ride from start to finish. It seems like a lot of times, and maybe I'm wrong on this, maybe you think differently, but I feel like they're just trying to go for great moments that you can like have clipped and people can remember, and it'll end up on YouTube and it'll be memed, and then you'll want to watch the movie. But it's not just about like individual great moments. I want something to be cohesive all the way through, and I don't always see that. It does exist in today's media, but not as much as what I was seeing 10 years ago, 8 years ago even.
Yeah, no, it seems like like there's still some original stories, ideas, and there's still some good movies out there. I'm not gonna lie. Free Guy, for instance, there was a lot of great moments in there, and some that actually surprised the living hell out of me. But still, definitely Free Guy was definitely a great film in my mind. Like there's movies that'll still kind of like some movies will just kind of be like it was okay, but other movies will go above and beyond. And the ones that go above and beyond, and particularly in terms of expectations, if they like this is my expectation for Free Guy, and this is my expectations right here, just shatters it. Forget about it. That's a movie I want to see again and again and again and again. You know.